All right, everybody, we're working on project number 3 now. It says, which dish soap makes the most bubbles? Now, all of you guys have had to wash the dishes at one point or another, and I don't know if you really pay attention to it, but a lot of times when you're washing the dishes, bubbles come, okay? Now, one of the reasons that bubbles come is obviously because you're using soap, but some bubbles seem to last a lot longer than others. Have you ever tried to take bubbles and blow them and see how far and how big you can make them? Well, what we're doing with this experiment is we're trying to figure out which dish soap makes the most bubbles. Now, we have 4 examples up here. We have Gain, Dawn, Joy, and Palmolive. But you can feel free to use anything you have around the house, okay? And nowadays, when you go to the store, there's about like 100 different types of dish soaps. But what you want to do is you want to narrow it down to about 4 dish soaps. And look at the setup I have. You have like a nice cup, maybe a glass cup, a little bit of dish soap detergent inside. And each cup, what you do is you go through each cup. So for example, with the Gain, I would put it under the faucet, turn the water on, and see how many bubbles come. I would do the same thing with Dawn, same thing with Joy, same thing with Palmolive. And what I would do is I would record my results. Now, how do you measure how many bubbles? Well, you think about it like this. If you have a lot of bubbles, you would make a check, a lot of bubbles. Medium bubbles, medium bubbles. Small amount of bubbles, small amount of bubbles. And what you got to do is you got to use your eye. You can't really measure the bubbles, so it's going to be a visual thing. And you got to use good judgment. But what will happen is, as soon as you turn that water on, the bubbles are going to start fizzling out. Okay? And my hunch is, I mean, it's anybody's guess. It could be Gain, it could be Dawn, it could be Joy, it could be Palmolive. And for those of you that are advanced, what you can do is you can mix and match. So after you do the first experiment, Gain, Dawn, Joy, and Palmolive, what you can do is you can mix a little Gain with a little Dawn, or mix a little Dawn with a little Palmolive, and see what happens then. All right, and add more to your experiment to make your project even more cooler. All right, so I'm looking forward to seeing your results.